So this is definitely one thing you do not want to skimp out on when you're doing your homework, considering moving to a certain area, and that is just overall crime and safety. Actually, when I first moved to Arizona, it wasn't in Gilbert, but we were moving out of state, didn't know the area at all, kind of just picked an apartment based on location and convenience. And I woke up at like 5 in the morning, went on a run, and was about like 2 miles from my house, and I was like, oh, I should probably not be here by myself right now. So definitely something I learned from my own mistake. And, you know, safety and crime can be very subjective. You know, it can mean different things for different people. But I'm going to actually show you some great resources that I encourage all my clients to use, and really just kind of give you a really good lay of the land, what it is realistically like in Gilbert. Yeah, let me show you. Let's jump into it. And also, I'm Courtney Strzelczyk. I'm a local agent here in the East Valley. I actually now live in Gilbert, and I talk a lot about just the process of moving here, what neighborhoods look like, realistically, what it's like to live here. So if you're interested in either Gilbert or the East Valley, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow along. Okay, so one of the resources I use first or I encourage people to use first, is crimerate.org, particularly if people are unfamiliar with Phoenix Metro, or more importantly, if they're moving from out of state, because they'll give you a really good orientation of maybe some of the safer areas and less safe areas, and it color codes things. So right here, you're going to see, you know, Phoenix, central Phoenix. This is, you know, much more dense area, more urban living. And, you know, like any place in the United States, when you have more of a dense area, it's going to be a higher crime rate per capita. And this is based on emergency calls. And then if you go over here, this is actually, you can see as we get more in the peripheral of the metro area, you know, this area, let me kind of highlight Gilbert right here. So this is Gilbert. It's definitely a lot greener, and as you go further south, it's even darker green. So relatively to the rest of, you know, the Phoenix metro area, we're doing pretty good. Now, I have provided this resource a lot, and the common question I get is, what are these two red circles right here in the middle of the green? Okay, so keep in mind, this is emergency calls per capita of residents. This right here is actually technically in Chandler. It's right across the border from Gilbert, but it is the airport. There's no homes there. So if crime is reported in that area, it's going to skew the results a little bit. Now, this over here, interestingly enough, this is one of Gilbert's very few 55 plus communities. And naturally, when you have a geriatric population, you're going to have more emergency calls. And that's usually because of health related issues. So if you see a random red pocket, more often than not, it's either like a commercial area or a 55 plus community. But great resource just to give you a general orientation of the Phoenix metro area. Now, when we want to get more into the nitty gritty of Gilbert, the resource I like to use is neighborhoodscout.com. There's other, you can look into other things here too, like schools, demographics, just a really good resource to get a general understanding of Gilbert. And then they color code things similarly. You're going to have darker purple indicating higher crime, lighter purple indicating lower crime. The thing to keep in mind about this area though, this resource is any cities, they're going to scale it from dark to light, even if a lot of the areas are very similar to one another. So in all reality, you don't have as much disparity of crime in different areas of Gilbert as you do to like Phoenix. Phoenix, you're going to see a lot different amounts of crime rate per capita. But still it gives you a pretty good insight. Now this part here, this is considered North Gilbert. This is above the 202 primarily. Lot more shopping, dining. You're also going to find a lot more like apartment complexes here, townhomes. Now, generally across the board, Gilbert is primarily comprised of single family homes. Feels like a suburban city for the most part, but that area is going to be slightly more dense. Down here, you get a little bit further south away from, south of Highway 202. This is going to feel a little sleepier, a little quieter. There's more new construction down here. The lots are sometimes, it depends on what neighborhood you're in, can be a little bit spread out. So it's just going to change the crime rate or the safety in this area. So the other thing too I like about this resource as well, is they highlight like different violent property crime, because those are two very different things. And then the other thing too is they give this total crime index right here, and this will rank it compared to other US cities, scale of 1 to 100, and we got 45 here. Now, something to keep in mind too, the cities, I actually looked into this quite a bit. The cities that are higher ranked, like 80s, 90s, a lot of these areas or a lot of these cities are going to be really tiny. The safest city, I believe it was either New Hampshire or Connecticut, I can't remember which one, but it was only like 8,000 people. Now, when you get into more of these metro regions or suburban cities, you're going to naturally have higher crime rates, and it's going to bring down this number. But overall, Gilbert was actually the second highest number of all the cities in Phoenix Metro. Queen Creek was the only one that was higher, and that was 46. Oop, it's getting out of hand there. All right. The other thing I like to point out too is just how Gilbert, this is violent crime per 1,000 residents, how this kind of relates to the national median. So we can see the national median, if you see right here, it says 4. Arizona's 4.09. So Arizona as a whole is kind of on par with the national median. And then Gilbert's 1.18. So Gilbert's doing pretty good overall, I would say. Now, when people are actually starting to shop for homes or a specific place to live, this is my favorite resource, actually. It's communitycrimemap.com. And there's a lot of different filters you can actually check. You can do, missing persons, thefts, citations, DUIs, whatever, have fun with it. And this will actually show you what specific crimes were in a specific neighborhood. Now, keep in mind, I always tell people, any place you live, wherever it is in the United States, if you pull things up, you're going to find crimes reported. So kind of just prepare yourself for that. But it does give you a really good idea. The sex offender list is always another good thing to look up when you're in that due diligence period and searching for a home. But this is just a really great resource and helps you get into more of, the nitty gritty of different areas to see, if that's reasonable for you, if some of the crimes reported in that specific neighborhood. So one of the biggest things to keep in mind too is that, Gilbert has received a lot of attention, both, social media and on different media sources, for being one of the safest areas in Phoenix Metro. And when you look at the crime rate per capita, the numbers definitely indicate this. But if you're coming from out of state, it's still important that you're doing your research and making sure you feel comfortable with the area. I mean, really the best thing you can do is actually get your boots on the ground and walk around. And if you're thinking of a particular neighborhood, go to the local grocery store, go to the, local gas station. Those are the people that are going to be living in the area, and it'll give you a really good feel if you feel comfortable with it or not. I also have a guide right here highlighting a lot of different neighborhoods in Gilbert, not just the famous ones, but a lot of the real neighborhoods, the less known ones. So go ahead and check that out. Thank you so much for your time, and have a fantastic day.